Welcome to another Pittsburgh Sportsline live TV show in the BPTV studios, right here in Bethel Park. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. I got Chip Hayner. I got bad news. Smoking Jim Frazier's feeling great. He's now missed 3 weeks in a row, and we know he's an honest man. So send your prayers, and we hope he's doing well. Maybe he needs a new car. If somebody wants to pick him up on a Thursday night and bring him here, it'd be great. We have a couple people filling in. That's how great Smoking Jim is. We got Steve here, and he's filling in for Smoking Jim. We got Nick as our extra special guest host, and he's back again. He missed a week because he had quarantini at school, so he explained how it was. He went to class every day and wishes he was working. So
Yes.
Other than that, it's all good. Thank you for watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. Thanks for watching you on Verizon 32 in the greater Pittsburgh area, Bethel Park, Nemacolin, all the way out to Cranberry, Wexford, and all points in between. We appreciate you. Thanks for the Facebook likes. We're still trying to get to 7,000. We got 6,924. So thank you for all those likes. I have a few promos that we'll do. We had to move the tape. But the first one, we used to have pizza here. We got the close-up look at that. 412-831-1900, Hillcrest Shopping Center. The best Italian food in the neighborhood. They're reasonable. They're open. Order your takeout. Tell Frank, the talking machine, said you should try their Italian specialties, pizza, wings, you name it, desserts. They have desserts, everything else. And in the summer, they got Italian ice, which is wonderful. Just check them out. While we're talking about food, I don't know if you can get a close-up on this. Connor, thanks to Miss Elaine. I don't know if you can get this picture. Hold on.
You going in? All the
Can
way?
you get a picture, Connor?
The whole thing. Oh, come on.
I'm a gentleman, and I have a white mask.
I would have.
Miss Elaine, these are delicious. Wonderful. Very good. That's from Miss Elaine and her cooking show on BPTV. How did we deserve something like this? Let me go in. All right.
Good job, Al. You make me proud of you.
You know I like to have a little fun.
I'm sitting here like a proud father.
He went all in on that meatball. There was a lot of commitment there.
Oh, I stay focused on what I'm doing. Oh, by the way, we end each show with Stay Joey Strong. The poor kid died at 9 years old, a month before his birthday, and he had the dreaded brain cancer, DIPG. His family started a group, Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. They've raised over $100,000 to find a cure and given the doctors that money. Still no cure. It's a death sentence to them. Go to their site, give them money, see what events they're having, and help them out. Next up, another 501c3. Let me chew and swallow this last piece of meatball. That was a lot of meatball. I'm telling you, Miss Elaine, you're the best. Bethel Park Historical Society Schoolhouse Arts and History Center, 2600 South Park Road. Has that trolley you young kids don't know, and you old timers like me, you've rode on them. Believe me, they were a heck of a ride. They have a great place, 1905 schoolhouse, library, yearbooks of every year for Bethel Park High School. They got a coffee place that I like, fresh roasted coffee, but I like the loose leaf green tea. You know, I post that every day. I've been there. I miss going there. They're open for takeout, so check them out. Next up, Dave Cable likes to have a little fun at my expense. I don't mind if he made fun of me, put my face on Uncle Sam. Wait till you see the commercial we have on this. I want you for BPTV. Tell them Uncle Al sent you. Call 412-831-3304. Say you want to be here like Nick, who's worked the camera, the audio, the video, talks in front of the camera, talks behind the camera.
I don't think there's anything I haven't done yet.
Announces sports at Waynesburg.
Hey, he sells popcorn during the commercials.
Can he eat a meatball and talk? You can help us out here too. We need help. So check it out. Last but not least, the Bethel Park Community Foundation has money for you and your group. From $100 to $5,000, go to bpcf.org, get an application. I was supposed to be at a meeting tonight. That's when they were meeting. But guess what? Pittsburgh Sportsline comes first in my book. 9+ years we've been honored to do this. Thank you for watching our show. Thanks to Bethel Park for having a public access TV, and thanks to Dave Cable and all his helpers here. And we got 3 of them on our show tonight. Can't beat that. Anthony's in the back room doing everything.
On the ones and the twos. Huh?
Yeah, and not a hair out of place. Then we got one other sponsor of What's on Your Mind. Here's where I test Connor. This is a long shot now. I'm further away. Let's see how he does. Whoop, whoop. There we go. Skeets Service Station, owned by Skeets Lewandowski. 6103 Route 88, about 6 miles from here. Red, white, and blue station. Anything and everything that runs on gas, Skeets will fix it. Cars, tractors, weed whackers, mowers, boats, tractor trailers, you name it, they work on it. Even electric devices, hedge trimmers, weed whackers, lawn mowers, power tools, they'll work on that too. They have a forge. They make metal hooks and things for Smoke and Jim to hang the Sweeties pictures up. And they also make drive shafts. So give them a call, 724-348-4715. Tell them the Talking Machine sent you, and Skeets asked if I was still promoting them, and I said yes. Oh, even snow blowers. Look at that snow snuck up on us today. Could have used a little snow blower. All right, we start with what's on our mind, and we got our newest guy here, Steve. What's on your mind?
Well, what's on my mind is the dumpster fire that is Pittsburgh Sports currently. You thought the circus had left town when Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell had parted ways with us, but apparently it hasn't. Between T.J. Watt may or may not have skipped his exit interview, depending on who you believe, and also Jim Rutherford just deciding that he was going to quit in the middle of, he just didn't even
5 months early.
Well, he didn't even give his 2 weeks, he just kind of walked out the door and said, peace out. So Jim is on his way, and then just the general crazy way the Steelers ended their season. So, I mean, it's just, if you thought things were going to calm down and get back to normal here, I guess not. We're back to the days of our Steelers, and apparently every quarterback in the NFL that's a free agent is now coming to the Steelers, so they should have a heck of a quarterback roster next year.
we may cover that too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve. We appreciate that. Chip Hayner, what's on your mind?
Oh, thank you, Alan, and welcome everybody again to our humble show. Steve, welcome to our show. Looking forward to talking sports with you. Nick, thanks for sitting in, helping us out in the absence of Mr. Frazier. It's quite
Down
big.
goes Frazier.
And I mean this literally. Those are some big shoes that we have to fill right there.
Yes.
I'll just add this little disclaimer. He buys shoes for $20, and they're not his size. He wears 16 or 18s unnaturally, and it's nice to see him take them off before he goes in his car. So there are big shoes.
That's a visual that I don't need.
Yes.
But anyhow.
I thought you'd like it.
I digress. Everybody knows my passion for the game of Major League Baseball is well documented. And this past week, Tuesday night, was the announcement of the inductees to the 2021 Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. And just as I had anticipated, there were none. And in looking at the slate of characters that were eligible to be elected into the Hall of Fame, I really didn't feel that any of them were worthy. I know Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, they've got one more year of eligibility, and I think their chances of making the Hall next year are slim to none, and I'm saying leaning towards none. They didn't make much of pick up much in votes from last year to this year, and they've got 14 votes, 14 percentage points in the vote column to pick up, which is something that just doesn't happen in somebody's 10th year. But, just because players are eligible for the Hall of Fame does not necessarily mean that you have to elect somebody to the Hall of Fame. And, there's a lot of factors that go into whether or not somebody is worthy of being in the Hall of Fame. Baseball, unlike other sports, they have a morals clause. So what you do off the field can affect whether or not you're voted in, and it's not just something that's determined by what you do on the field. Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, they're going to fall short. Both of them, and this is my humble opinion, I feel cheated the game and they don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Curt Schilling cried because he didn't get inducted into the Hall of Fame. And here's my point about Curt Schilling. I don't know if his career is worthy of being elected into the Hall of Fame. Think about this for a minute. The guy played Major League Baseball for 20 years. For 20 years, he pitched in the major leagues. He had 215 victories. Now, to me, a measuring stick for a pitcher to get into the Hall of Fame was, were you a dominant pitcher? Just a few good years doesn't necessarily make you a Hall of Fame caliber pitcher. Never once won the Cy Young Award. Yes, he was on 3 pitching staffs that won World Series, and you got to give him credit for that. But he wasn't a particularly dominant pitcher of his era. You look at somebody like Sandy Koufax, who didn't put up 300 wins, but there was not a more dominant pitcher in the mid-'60s than Sandy Koufax, with the exception of Bob Gibson.
Yes.
Okay?
2 of my faves.
So, you have to, there's a lot of factors that get weighed into whether or not anybody's eligible. Now, looking at the eligible candidates for the Hall of Fame for next year, you've got another steroid abuser, Alex Rodriguez, who's going to be eligible. And he's somebody that nothing would make me happier than to see him to get 0 votes next year and get taken off the ballot. There is one player of the group that I feel might have an outside chance. And back in 2003, he did test positive on the initial investigation into steroids. And that was Big Papi, David Ortiz from the Red Sox. But that being said, he was tested the entire rest of his career, never once tested positive, and he did put up Hall of Fame numbers throughout the rest of his career. Now, I know if you talk to anybody from New England, they're gonna say that he's a first ballot. He should be unanimous. I think he's the one that might get in next year, but I think the pickings next year are going to be slim. But that's what's on my mind.
Thank you, Chip. I appreciate it. We're going to go out of order and bring the rookie special guest host. Nick is back in town.
Hi, everybody.
What's on your mind?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, the Joey Fabus thing that you have in the intro, whenever we do this, to where's awareness about that? I was pondering that. I was wondering, why does that name sound familiar? And I remembered that in 2014, it was my sophomore year, and we were playing a football game, and he was recognized at the beginning of that game. We all got to high-five him before the game. Of course,
Sure.
That was back when high-fiving was acceptable.
Yes.
Before the virus. But
Yeah.
so it was cool to meet him and have him get recognized. And
Well, we've done shows. I do a 5K 1-mile run each year where they dress up as superheroes.
Yeah.
That's been on film every year except for last year, where a nice lady named Amy Taylor, who does a show on
I met her before.
BPTV, she filled in for me, did a good job. So.
But that's I was thinking about
thanks
that
for
name,
sharing that, yeah.
and then I'm just like, oh yeah, I remember. I know why I know that name now. So, but also,
You're welcome.
yeah. But about going to football, Super Bowl predictions. toward the middle of the season when I first started working here, it was about early December, I made a bold prediction. I had calculated, I'm like, all right, what would the best Super Bowl matchup be, and how would the NFL, or which teams or what team winning the Super Bowl would benefit the NFL the most? We're talking about who was likely to win the Super Bowl back in December, and I did say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I told Al that. I said, Al, calculating it all, I really think the Bucs have the best chances on with Tom Brady because, Tom Brady's going to lead a different team to the Super Bowl. And Al's reaction kind of laughed and said, Nick, there's no way.
I laughed.
There's no way.
I thought Rodgers would do it. I'm wrong twice.
Said there's no way. No way that the Buccaneers could win the Super Bowl. Now, they haven't won the Super Bowl yet, but I did say that they would win the Super Bowl, and right now they're in it. They were contending enough to at least get there right now.
I give you credit.
So there we go.
I stand corrected.
Right? So
definitely.
And back,
you got me on that.
Right. Well, back then, though, I was hoping that I was really hoping that the Steelers were going to win the Super Bowl, and that was back when they didn't have any losses yet. So
yeah.
I mean, that's kind of unfortunate. But I just thought if there's a random pick I have to make, what would be? I would
You
be,
did well.
It would be the
I
Buccaneers.
appreciate somebody being outspoken like that, and you were proven right so far.
And now I'm here. Back then, I was still working in the back, running the control board, and back then, Smoking Jim was accusing me of nepotism, or accusing you of nepotism. So I wasn't able to.
No,
right.
both of us.
Right. So,
yeah.
But I wasn't able to.
He doesn't
voice.
Understand the concept of nepotism.
No. Okay. Yeah.
He went to Gateway. We have to bring that up. So that's fine.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
but
at Keystone Oaks, we know that you have to be related.
Yeah. But now I get to voice my opinion, and I'm happy to voice my opinion, and I'm happy to tell you what's on my mind. That I had the Buccaneers winning the Super Bowl from the middle of the season.
That's a Nick Stone Cold lock then?
I think they're going to win.
So
On paper, I know.
Whoa.
Chip said that he supports the Chiefs,
Wow.
and on
I have to disagree with you again.
that's okay.
My vote is for the Chiefs.
Okay.
The GOAT will pass the baton to Mahomes.
Well, yeah, undoubtedly that Mahomes is a great player, and the Chiefs are a strong
but I'm
team.
just saying the GOAT.
But I'm just saying that
the greatest of all time.
I understand
will pass
Tom
the
Brady
baton.
passes to.
Just wanted to explain it twice.
Totally understand. Yeah,
Thank
absolutely. But yeah, no, on paper it seems like the Chiefs are the stronger team, and I can agree that okay, they seem to have a more solid structure of a team than the Buccaneers do. But for some reason, I feel like Tom Brady's just going to prove that he's the greatest, and he's going to pull out the only game that he really needs to.
Well, you said
at this
a key
point for the
thing
Super
that
Bowl.
the Chiefs team looks better.
Right.
Brady's teams look pretty good defensively and offensively.
But he did throw. I mean, well,
3 picks. What's that matter?
I guess so.
What's that matter? Come
only
on.
when Ben throws them.
When Ben throws 4, it's too many.
Well, the 3 picks don't matter when you have complete incompetence out of the head coach, and that's the reason why the Packers lost that
Hold
game.
it. I got to bring that point up. I got to bring that point up on mine. But no, you make some great points, and I wish you well.
Well.
But if you're going to bet, please don't start betting now unless you listen to Smoking Jim and do the opposite.
Oh, that's true.
I have to put that caveat in
true.
there. You have anything else to say?
Yeah,
Are you
well,
good?
I'm unpredictable so far on my. Yeah, I mean, Smoking Jim's already established he loses a lot, so I guess don't take what
he always says to keep betting. He thinks he wins, except then he cries about losing.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Well, no, that's it.
He'll make it back next year.
Yeah. So far, 9 years, he hasn't made it back. He hasn't made it back 9+ years.
Those casinos aren't going to build themselves.
No, he goes there.
Yeah.
Steve, it's funny you bring that up. I had racehorses at the Meadows, been around gambling. I only bet on horses. Smoking Jim says he bets $250 a day. I tell him each time, you guys will verify it. I go, Smoking Jim, give me the $250. He goes, why? I go, I'll give it back to you next week and you'll have more money.
Jeez.
He hasn't taken me up on it yet. But, that's where we're at. Now I'll go, hey, Talking Machine, what's on your mind? I almost forgot till Chip brought it up. I'm watching the Brady game because I wanted to see how his team came on and how he would do. And for some unknown reason, like Big Ben, he started throwing the long ball about a month ago. And he was completing long passes. So I thought maybe they have a chance. Nick's little comment was ringing in my head. So I'm watching the game, and the Tampa defense was mesmerizing Rodgers. They had him a little screwed up and stuff. They're on their last drive, and first 2 plays don't go well. The third play, I'm doing I'm saying RPO with Rodgers running. And that's all he had to do on third down. You have the MVP quarterback in the league, and so what? They're stopping him on some plays. He's 37. He can outrun some 23-year-olds. All you got to do, look on the one play, he was throwing the ball and almost threw an interception at the goal line. And did you notice all green grass to the right?
And, and Aaron Rodgers, in his infinite wisdom, his comment to that was, well, I thought I had another down, and I knew for sure that we'd put it in then. Then the coach intervened.
That's what I wanted to bring up. So that doesn't happen.
And they kick a field
and then
goal down by 8
I'm
points.
a football guy, played football, believe it or not, before some of you were born. For Keystone Oaks. You understand that, my alumni friend. And I just know this, if you still need a touchdown to win the game, put the ball in the end zone and don't kick a field goal. I mean, I think that's football
You've
101.
got the league MVP.
Right.
Why do you take the ball out of his hands?
And he's one of the best, most dynamic. Look, he can throw the ball like Mahomes and sideways, underneath, around people. Look at how he runs at his age.
May I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
If Mike Tomlin would have done the same thing,
Fire him.
do you think Pittsburgh sports fans would have lost their minds?
They've lost it already. Yeah. They've lost it already.
Yeah, they lost it already. The team
The
was
punt
on the
wasn't
floor.
half as controversial as that.
Imagine the
But-
comments on their Facebook page.
No, but that's what I see for all this nonsense out there. That series, there's no way it should have happened. Anything else but putting it in Rodgers' hand is an excuse, and we know excuses aren't good. Just do it. Let him run the ball or throw the ball on fourth down, because you still need that touchdown.
No,
They didn't gain anything. Like no matter what, their defense was going to have to make a stop.
Thank you.
Because if you leave it to Tom Brady and expect to get the ball back from him when all he has to do is get a couple of first downs, that's a fool's errand.
Sure.
I mean, they were down by 8 points. You score a touchdown, it's a 2-point conversion, you got a tie game. Now, there would have still been a lot of time on the clock, which, you're going to have to trust your defense to stop Brady,
Right.
which is a big task. Not many people have done it.
No.
Not in the last,
consistently.
not in the
But I
last
think
2
that
minutes of the game.
votes. That's once again another reason to just go for it, because what if
That
you
is the
gain-
reason.
you're
Well-
gonna- your defense is going to have to, even if you score, get the 2-point conversion and tie the game, your defense is still going to have to go out there and somehow keep him from just driving them down and kicking a field goal with no time
Now,
left.
the one
Thank
thing,
you.
the one thing about
That's why I brought this up.
the end of the game, and then we'll wrap this up with a nice bow. The pass interference call on Green Bay's cornerback. Now, okay, technically, yes, that was pass interference, okay? By the
Not how they
definition of
were
the
calling
rule.
the whole game.
The way they were playing the whole game, there was clutching, there was grabbing, there was pawing at one another. They didn't call a single penalty the whole game. And then with seconds left, they're going to call that penalty. If that was a penalty, there were 7 or 8 other ones that I saw that they didn't call.
Right.
So why call that one and not call the rest? It was a farce, and it makes me think that something's fishy in Denmark.
Well, I've always said that for years. Don't bet on the games. I believe sports are fixed. Even though I like to watch sports, I do believe there's an ulterior motive called money. And my dad was a basketball referee for years. He was a rare official. He wasn't a homer. And he told me when he's refereeing a game, he goes, I don't want you to notice me, because I'm making the right calls. I'm calling the fouls. If they're there, I'm calling them. I'm not making something up to help a coach win a game. So I thought of the Super Bowl. I saw the referees make a call that they should have let go like they did the 10 other calls earlier in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's sad about the state of football when it comes down to them making a call and a penalty that wins the game
But what
for
kills-
your Brady.
What kills me is that all of the announcers and all the talking heads, oh yeah, well, you could definitely see that was a penalty. You know what? Somebody needed to speak up and said that was a bunch of malarkey. Because it was. The penalty should have never been called. But
Right.
it's neither here nor there right now. It's Tampa Bay. It's Kansas City, February 7th.
And you know what we want, folks. So, did you make a pick, Steve? Who do you like?
I have learned my lesson. I've only picked right against Tom Brady once, and that was way back when.
So you're Brady on this one.
I never bet against Tom Brady. You're going to lose a lot of money doing that.
Let's go.
Well, being on our show for the first time, I like the history of who you pick and who you went against and shouldn't have.
Well, my original pick with the beat of the playoffs, I bet with my heart. I really want Buffalo because I just think they've got 4 times. What's the 1966?
Yes.
The last championship, I think it was in the AFL.
Yes.
So
Yes, it
I would
was.
love to see, even if the Steelers are going to win.
You're like us. That's what we were.
Yeah, I was hoping the Bills.
Former
but-
Congressman Jack Kemp was their quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, so it would have been nice to see the Bills, but Kansas City is very good. It should be a good Super Bowl. I heard other people saying, "Oh, I didn't think it was going to be a good Super Bowl." I think it's going to be a great Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think so
I think
too.
there's going to be a lot of points scored.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. No, thanks for your insights. We're going to come back. We'll hear more from Steve and others here, so don't change that dial. We'll be right back.
Steelers show blitz. He throws the pass up. It's going to be picked up. James Harrison has it. He's running up the sideline. 25-30.
Tell us about your show that you do on BPTV, and then a little bit about yourself, if you would, sir.
Okay, yeah. My name is Steve, and I've been at Bethel Park on and off for years now. I've done
A couple years at least, right?
Yeah. I've done a couple different shows.
What were they?
Well, one was we only did a couple of that. It's called the Dave Cable Show. So it was actually titled after
Just
Dave.
because you're friends with Dave Cable doesn't mean you can do a show about him.
Well, no, it wasn't about him. It was his show, but I was the permanent guest host. So that was the.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was kind of like we did it that way.
Because he told me he was friends with you guys. So.
Yeah. But I've been a lifelong sports fan, just like everybody else.
When did
here.
you start?
Well, my first games were the Pirate games.
Okay.
And I remember Bill Madlock hitting a home run.
Yes.
in, like,
You're
the
younger
ninth-
than me and Chip. So
Yeah,
we
and I
have-
remember it rained because I
Mad
remember
Dog.
I got
Mad
to be
Dog.
like 8 years old. And
Okay.
then my first football game, funny enough, and I was thinking this the other day because Alex Van Pelt was a quarterback for Pitt.
Whoa.
Me, my dad, my grandfather went, and I think they beat Rutgers like 24-19 or
Wow,
something.
3 generations.
Yeah, and I thought that because Alex Van Pelt's now the offensive coordinator at Cleveland, I was like, hey.
Right.
But yeah, I was always a Alex Van Pelt guy, Pitt guy, and I had Pitt football season tickets for many seasons, so I've seen a lot of really
And you're
bad-
rocking a nice pirate hat for Chip.
Unfortunately, you've seen a lot of heartbreaks.
I've seen a lot of really bad
Were
football.
you at the game when they lost to Cincinnati? Wanstead was quarterback. It was at Heinz Field.
Yes.
I was there. I was there as well.
I've been
and
for
I
much
couldn't,
worse than
and I
that.
cou- and I couldn't have.
I could name about like 10 other things that happened that are like the Russell Wilson NC State game that
Whoa.
nobody remembers.
Yes.
I can tell you one person. The person whose chair you're taking this week, he knows about that game with Russell Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
At NC
Nobody.
State.
I was funny because I knew about Russell Wilson before. I was like, oh yeah, that guy's pretty good. I remember him coming back. I think Pitt was up 14 or 17.
Yeah,
and he came back in the second half.
I
They
remember,
couldn't stop him.
I
Yeah.
remember a Pitt game I saw in the 80s. Pitt was playing Purdue. And playing for Purdue that day, Jim Everett was quarterback. Rod Woodson was cornerback. It was the year
Oh, my
before he
goodness.
got drafted by the Steelers.
Did you call him Chris? Because I heard
No.
you really got mad about it.
Pitt actually won that game, and it was quite exciting. But didn't realize that I was looking at 2 NFL starters and perennial All-Pros.
Right.
You know,
Right. Anything else you want to add here, Steve, since you got the table
I
right
have the
now?
floor.
Yeah, you got the table. You're on the table. You had a meatball. You're good.
Yeah.
You didn't need it on camera, but I appreciate it.
It was quite good.
Thanks, Miss Elaine.
Not much, but it just like like I said, like it'd be nice to see like Pittsburgh sports calm down. Like I said in my opening, enough with the drama, and let's just get back to playing sports and I'm sick of debating whether this guy talked to that guy and who did this TikTok video or
Right.
I guess I'm getting old. I don't.
not
I mean, I don't
wrong.
care if you want to TikTok and like people were saying that's the priority, and I think that's one of the things like. That was kind of a controversy was like, well, should it be a priority? I don't have a problem with like guys like trying to get into the media or make themselves a career
Or a
off of football.
brand. They're trying to brand themselves.
Yeah, because football, the average football career, I think, is still only
2.5
3 or 4 years.
2.5, 3
Yeah,
years.
it's less than 3 years.
Yeah,
now.
you know
yeah.
what?
So you got to do something after that. But your first focus should be being the best football player you can be.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that isn't the case with today's athletes. But I think, and to speak to your point about, I made this comment about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I said the next few years in Pittsburgh sports are going to be there's going to be some lean pickings. I think that the Penguins are about as weak of a team going into the season as I've seen. The Steelers have a lot of unanswered questions that they've got to deal with. The Pirates are in the process of a complete mess. They're burning it down, and they're going to try to rebuild it. But I think the biggest problem in Pittsburgh sports isn't necessarily the sports itself. It's the people that try to sensationalize every single thing players say and do and put meanings into things where they have absolutely no facts and trying to be, okay, I want to be the first person to tweet something and without a shred of fact behind it. And it's getting a little tiresome, but I understand what you're talking about.
You missed my social media rant last couple weeks ago.
Hold it. We'll get you to talk about it in a second.
Right. Well,
Steve, last comment, and then we'll move on.
Well, just glad to be here. Thanks for having me, Al, and everybody. And
You're
just
welcome.
Happy to be here and share some good sports talk with you guys.
Well, I'll just put this invitation out. With Smoking Jim not being 100% transparent on his injuries or no injuries.
Well, you don't want to get cut over an injury. And
Well,
Chuck Noll used to say you can't make the club from the tub.
He's still on the team. He's from the original team, me and him.
Bub.
Yeah, so he still has his place, but stay in the bullpen, to use the baseball phrase. You got the pirate hat on. Stay in the bullpen for next week.
Well, I can't possibly ever replace Smoking Joe,
No,
but I can
no.
at least hold us over. I can be that middle reliever that there used to be a guy for Neil Heaton.
Yes.
He was totally mediocre, but
Yeah.
I loved the guy when I was a kid. So I'll be your Neil Heaton.
There you
Just
go.
come in and
You know what? I'll second that emotion. I'll second the
They called Neil
emotion.
Heaton the setup man.
Yeah, he was the original setup man there.
You guys are good. We're going to cut this short. We're going to Nick. Segue back into what you talked about your rant.
just that.
I want to hear that, and then you can add something more. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Social media, though, kind of harmful. Everybody has to have an opinion now. As Chip said, everything has to have some sort of inner meaning, even if it's not there. Everything has to mean something, or there has to be some conspiracy theory because the theory is more interesting than the truth. So,
To some.
to some, for sure. Well, Smoking Jim,
Yeah.
his almanac of half truths is,
Yeah.
but
It's fiction and fact.
right. But like with TikTok and everything, I just can't understand how you incentivize your opponent to do better because you're disrespecting
Logo.
their way of
Well, their
life.
team logo.
Exactly. So, like, it's just, I think that social media is too much about people having an image and sustaining that image more so than it is about them being an athlete and just doing the job of presenting a good sporting event.
This is our perspective from a 22-year-old.
It's an unpopular perspective, and I haven't gotten addicted to social media. I just
22 years old telling you that.
It's
Thank you.
Yeah, it's
Thank
harmful,
you again.
and I understand that it gets people addicted, and then everybody's just mad at each other for no reason because you can hide behind a screen, say anything you want, and not have to reap the consequences of that said word.
Sure.
I always thought that was the point of the internet, was to slander people anonymously.
Well, it's harmful though, but it is no. It's I mean,
Steve, you're welcome back next week, even if Smoking Jim's not here. You're welcome back. I accept that.
I think I like
oh
him.
my
I
goodness.
think I like him.
I am calling him back next week no matter what. Just for that, I rest my case. What's another point you'd like to bring up? Since
well, talking
I
about
stole
the
first one
right,
from you.
That's okay. That's okay. But talking about the Pirates.
Yes.
By the way, I like this mask and it matches Steve's hat from that
Steve
era.
Well, no.
Chip loves both
No.
of you.
Wait,
Well,
let
you
me
got the-
correct something here. That's a 1979 logo right there. This one's a 1971 logo. This was from
World Series.
This is from Clemente's MVP World Series. That's from Stargell's MVP World Series.
Yeah.
But I digress.
From the 70s. We
From the
lived through
70s.
it. Yes.
Same decade. All right, but I was thinking about. I read an article about Jamison Tyon because he got traded to the Yankees a short time ago.
What a
but,
coincidence.
Yeah, but I read an article, and I was talking about the 2010 draft. First of all, I wasn't aware fully that Jamison Tyone was drafted that early.
Sure.
Because
That
it seems like
slip in.
such a long time ago, 2010. Now that
That's
we're in
half of your
2021. Yeah. So.
That's 1/6 of my life.
But I figured out that the first overall pick of the 2010 draft was to the Nationals. The Nationals drafted Bryce Harper. Then the Pirates drafted Tyone. And then Manny Machado was drafted by the Orioles. So 1, 2, 3. Manny Machado and Bryce Harper have some things in common. They both made their debuts in 2012. They both became instant sensations, and they both signed $300+ million contracts, long contracts, in between the 2018 and 2019 offseason. Jamison Tyone, a little bit different. He's had some unfortunate circumstances, a couple Tommy John surgeries,
Twice.
and suffered testicular cancer.
Yes.
So, which is unfortunate. But man, I mean, it's just such a shame that the two players in between Jamison Tyone that got drafted just had such great success, and they're making a lot of money, and
To interrupt you, that's why people say I'd rather be lucky than good.
Yeah,
Doesn't that
sure.
make sense in that
It does.
circumstance?
But like,
Because they were all good, a little bit of luck.
Yeah.
How would that have been with Tyone then?
But Tyone didn't make his debut in 2012. He made his debut in 2016, and it's just like, it just makes me wonder: is it the Pirates that are developing poorly? Is it just awful luck over
Yes.
the last few years for the Pirates?
I vote for luck.
Yes, and yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is bad luck, and the Pirates did a horrible job at developing their young talent. And that's the reason why that there was a management change and a philosophy change. They've revamped the entire minor league system, and that's the unfortunate reason why a popular athlete like Jamison Tyone had to be traded. And what Ben Cherington did was, by getting rid of Josh Bell, Jamison Tyone, and Joe Musgrove, he turned them into 11 prospects, because our farm system
system's weak.
was completely devoid of talent. Yeah. And the only way that the Pirates can ever become viable again is they need to bring in a ton of young talent, and they've got to develop the talent. Yeah. So they've got plans in place to try to do that. Now, will they do it? Time's going to tell.
But now you got Tyone joining a rotation that includes Garrett Cole, Luis Severino.
Where'd Garrett Cole
Corey
come
Kluber.
from?
The Pirates.
Thank you.
Well, from Houston. He went from Houston to the Yankees.
Well, he was from the Pirates.
Yes, the Pirates did draft him. But, so now he joins that whole rather talented rotation with the Yankees. And
they have the money.
Yep, so poor Pirates.
Well, thank you, Nick. We're going to go to Chip Hayner.
In my humble opinion, I feel that this is the home run king of Major League Baseball. I know other people will differ their opinion from me, and they're entitled to their opinions, as am I. Henry Louis Aaron, nicknamed the Hammer or Hammer and Hank, played for 23 seasons in Major League Baseball. From 1954 through 1976, spent 21 seasons with the Milwaukee/Atlanta Braves in the National League, 2 seasons with the Milwaukee Brewers in the American League. He's one of the greatest players of all time, 755 career home runs, broke the long-standing Major League record set by Babe Ruth. He hit 24 more home runs every year from 1955 to 1973.
And he never hit over 47, right?
I believe that is correct.
Yeah, I remember that stat because I thought it was unusual to hit that many home runs without
He is one of only 2 players to hit 30 or more home runs in a season at least 15 times. He is 5th on the all-time list of the 100 greatest baseball players of all time.
Wow.
By his final Major League season, Aaron was the last Negro League baseball player on a Major League roster.
What a record that is.
He played most of his career in right field, the last few years of his career in the American League as a designated hitter. He was a National League All-Star for 20 seasons and an American League All-Star for 1 season. He holds the record for the most All-Star selections with 25.
Wow.
How did he end up with 25?
Yes.
In 2 years, there were 2 All-Star games played. While sharing the record for most All-Star games played with Willie Mays at 24 and Stan the Man Musial. He won the National League MVP award in 1957, and the Milwaukee Braves won the World Series. Holds the records for the most career runs batted in, extra base hits, and total bases. Arent is also in the top 5 for career hits and runs. He is one of only 4 players to have at least 17 seasons with 150 or more hits.
Wow.
He is second in home runs and at bats with 12,364 and in third place in games played. Some other interesting facts about Hank Arent that I thought were worth mentioning.
Lay it on us.
He played in his Negro League career for a team called the Indianapolis Clowns. Interesting thing here. Arent received 2 offers from Major League Baseball teams via telegram, one from the New York Giants and the other from the Boston Braves. Years later, Arent remembered, I had the Giants contract in my hand, but the Braves offered $50 more a month. And that's the only thing that kept Willie Mays and me from being teammates.
Wow.
Could you imagine the New York Giants with Willie Mays in center field and Hank Arent in right?
No.
Would have been incredible.
That's almost 1,400 home runs. For you people that don't know that.
One of his nicknames.
Was McCovey on those Giants
Yes.
teams too?
He, in the 60s, once
Yes.
they moved to San Francisco.
Yeah.
He didn't play.
So they would have had McCovey, conceivably McCovey.
Because McCovey at first, right. They were
Theoretically.
Who do you pitch? Who do you walk there?
All of them. All of them.
everybody
All
else.
3.
So, in his Negro League career, here's one of the things that Henry Arent noticed when he played for the Indianapolis Clowns. He said one day he had breakfast, and while we were waiting for the rain to stop, I can still envision sitting with his teammates in a restaurant behind Griffith Stadium, hearing them break all the plates in the kitchen after we finished eating. What a horrible sound. Even as a kid, the irony of it hit me. Here we were in the capital of the land of freedom and equality, and they had to destroy the plates that had touched the forks that had been in the mouths of black men. If dogs had eaten off those plates, they would have washed them.
Yeah.
So to understand what Hank Arent had to endure to become successful in his chosen sport, and his nickname was Pork Chop.
Wow.
That you may not have known, and the only reason why they called him Pork Chop because that was the only thing he knew how to order off the menu in a restaurant.
Wow.
So he had pork chops for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
What a story.
On April 13th, made his major league debut against Reds. Had 5 hitless at bats against left-hander Joe Nuxhall. In the same game, Eddie Matthews hit 2 home runs. The first of a record 863 home runs the pair would hit as teammates.
Wow.
On April 15th, collected his first major league hit, a double off of Cardinals pitcher Vic Raschi. On April 23rd, hit his first home run. He then changed his number to 44, which would turn out to look like a lucky number for him, as Arent would hit 44 home runs in 4 different seasons. He hit his record-breaking 715th home run off Dodgers pitcher Al Dowding, who coincidentally was wearing number 44.
Wow.
Let's see. These are the last things that I'm going to touch on here.
Okay.
And Nick will get a little kick out of the last one here. At age 39, he had 40 home runs and 392 bats, ending the 73 season 1 home run short of the record. He hit home run 713 on September 29th. With 1 day remaining in the season, many expected him to hit his final home run, but in his final game, playing against the Houston Astros, managed by Leo DeRocher, who had once roomed with Babe Ruth, he was unable to achieve this. After the game, Arent said his only fear was that he might not live to see the 1974 season because he was getting death threats. And even famed sports writer Louis Grizzard, then executive sports editor of the Atlanta Journal, while preparing the massive coverage for the home run record, he quietly had an obituary written, afraid that Arent might be murdered. And who made the call of the 715th home run? Braves announcer Milo Hamilton, calling the game on WSB radio, described the scene as Arent broke the record. So the reason I bring that up, Nick's communications major down at Waynesburg University. Lanny Fratteri is his mentor. Lanny Fratteri and Milo Hamilton shared the booth for the Pittsburgh Pirates after Bob Prince was fired back in the 70s. So there you go.
Thank you, Chip. All right, On Location. We have none right now. You can check my last On Location show, Zhang Taekwondo show. After I spoke about it last week, we're up to almost 800 likes on there. So check it out. Very entertaining. From Master Zhang breaking 10 boards with one kick. That's how thick it was, 10 boards. Check it out. We're looking for On Locations this year. We're hopeful with the COVID vaccine and lessening COVID cases will help, so we'll stay tuned for that. We're looking for a location. We'll be back with some Penguin talk for the end of the show, so don't change that dial. Penguin talk, what a surprise. Penguins are in the news with Rutherford quitting with 5 months to go for personal reasons, and he said it's not health reasons. And he said also that he might be looking for another job in hockey. He's 71 years old. People thought he was done and burnt out. They've had rumors that there was trouble with upper management or ownership. Then they tried to clarify that it's just upper management. What could have happened? I'll open it up to our panel. We'll start with Chip, and then we'll see what Steve has to say. Nick is silent on the pen talk. So.
Oh, no, I have opinions on Jim Rutherford.
Well,
okay, we'll get to that.
Here's the interesting thing. You know, Rutherford, out of nowhere, he's talking about getting a contract extension a couple of weeks ago. Now, all of a sudden, he resigns. Now, you know, there's the state of the Penguins right now is bleak, to say the least. Their defense corps is completely on the injured list. If you look at the way they're playing this year, they've been behind in every single game they're playing this year.
Seven games?
8, because they're losing 2-1 right now.
I didn't know that.
Okay, so, but anyhow.
I wasn't aware.
You know, so what was the problem? There had to have been some kind of, he may have wanted to make, maybe he's defending not getting rid of, and this is pure speculation.
Lay it out there.
Maybe he's defending not getting rid of Evgeny Malkin and Chris Letang, and I swear Chris Letang's the most overrated player on the team. And where has Evgeny Malkin been this year? I mean, you know, I think the way that the team's built right now, I think they're in a little bit of trouble. But I've been digging around, poking in my stick in a bunch of different places, and I can't find anything out. But it's going to eventually come out.
Yeah.
The most I heard an interview with Rob Rossi today on the radio, and I know I had heard some stuff like that through the pandemic. Like I guess Jim Rutherford's maybe more of like he likes the interaction and like to get out and do stuff, and because of he's been cooped up a little bit more, and maybe that led to some restlessness. And then like he wanted to renegotiate now. Like the Penguins don't have any fans in the stands. They're like the NHL is. Like, did I not
cash
hear Gary,
strapped. It's
Gary
cash
Bettman
strapped.
said $1 billion? Did I hear that? They're going to lose $1 billion?
They're going to lose more than $1 billion.
How do you open a business and lose that kind of money? Like, I think that may be a little unreasonable. Maybe if you want to wait till June and renegotiate and leave, maybe that's more of what I would have done. But maybe he just got so frustrated. And,
the stress that he's under, like with the team and their performance or lack of performance, plus the stress of the COVID, look at the fatigue everybody's suffering being at home nonstop. And he's a man of action, like you say. Plus, I think he wanted a long-term contract here because he only had 7 years in.
Well, look at what he did with the team after last season, after the playoff failure this past year. I mean, there were major changes made in the organization.
Yeah.
There was a lot of players that were shipped out and the players that were brought in. You know, now he had been given
goalie.
Well, you know, I mean, these are all decisions that he made, but he was given the authority to make. Now, some of those moves are being questioned, I believe, and he doesn't like somebody looking over his shoulder and because to be honest with you, we wouldn't have back-to-back Stanley Cup champions if it wasn't for Jim Rutherford. There's no question about it. He put that those teams together.
Yeah,
but I would question then, like you were saying, that maybe he can't trade. If you can trade Matt Murray, why can't you trade Chris Letang? So I would kind of disagree with you on that. That he probably has the green light to trade whoever he wants.
Okay,
right?
here's the thing. Here's the thing that keeps you from trading Chris Letang and Evgeny Malkin. The contracts that they have, and most of the teams are pushed up right to the salary cap. So who do you trade him to, and what can you get back in your return? Because you're not going to get much in return for him.
And the cap's going down too, right? Because of the revenue.
Right,
Like
so-
we just said, they're
It
losing.
has
So,
to.
yeah.
so,
it's
so
going down.
we are hamstrung with Letang and Malkin's contracts because there isn't really a whole lot of people that can afford to trade for them.
No,
you know?
there's not many openings at all.
And you're not going to get, you're not going to get an
Well, we already
aging,
kinda
an
like-
aging Evgeny Malkin. You're not going to get
We
a
already kind of
king's ransom.
Well,
for.
who's the cash teams in the NHL? Toronto, right? The Rangers, probably.
Yeah.
But
Boston.
they're-
I mean, that's your three cash cows, right? Maybe Chicago. I don't know about
but they're all
Chicago,
pushed
but-
up
Chicago
against
maybe
the,
too.
they're, they're
Yeah.
all pushed up against the cap too. You know, that's the
I
one
mean,
thing with
yeah.
it with a salary cap league. You can only spend so much. You can't. It's not like the Yankees can sit there and stockpile $30 million players, and they don't have to. Oh, we'll pay a luxury tax.
they got their own $1 billion station, so they're an
Well,
exception.
Toronto definitely. Yeah, I mean
So-
that they would be the Yankees
So
if they could. Yeah.
there'll be more to this story. And to
We'll
get
just-
to our last point, we'll talk a little bit about the Steelers because lots of goings on with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, yeah.
Art Rooney Jr. comes out and says that, we'd love to have Ben back last year, but not under the salary cap restrictions. The $41 million hit that they would have to take next year for him to be here, they can't afford to keep him. And,
Sure.
And Ben responded back to Ed Bouchette from the Athletic. He
Yeah.
reported back to him that he would be completely open to renegotiating. So, they could basically sign Ben.
Here's what to do. I got the solution right there. Bobby Bonilla contract.
What are we going to celebrate Ben Roethlisberger Day on July 1st?
$1 million a year for 40 years.
He's going to be getting
Bobby Bo still gets that payout
Until
for what,
2031.
10 another 10 years.
2031.
That's why I
I
just
wonder if that's how the new Mets owner likes
let me
that
just
deal.
put it out there right now.
I mean-
Bobby Bonilla, $1 million per Roethlisberger per year. What's that do for the cap?
So here's what they do. They could say,
I mean,
I don't think you're
that
allowed to
happens-
do that in football because
No.
I think
That-
under the CBA you
I
can
think
only
so far outside the box. Do it.
that happens more often in baseball than people think.
Yes.
The whole
Long-term
Bobby
deal.
Bonilla's deal.
No, they've
just-
done 5 or 10 years and
right.
things like that.
That's
but
not as
nothing-
common in football. Though.
Right.
but
I
what
don't think it's
what
ever
they're
been
talking
done.
about with Roethlisberger's contract is they pay him $1 million as his base salary.
Yeah.
Okay, they sign him for 4 years, and they take the $22 million that they would have had to pay him anyway. Okay, so they got $21 million, space that over 4 years. You're getting about $4.5, maybe $5 million per year, plus your $1 million salary. Right there, they save themselves about $14 to $18 million off the cap. And whether or not he sees the end of the contract, that $4.5 million over the next 4 years is going to count against the cap instead of.
Well, that makes sense, and he said he could see himself doing another year where we could win.
that's all academic. They're pretty far away from winning. I think their window is closed. I just don't. I mean, now they could prove me wrong next year, and I'll be the happiest guy, and I'll be upfront with it. Lord willing,
you
I'm
bleed
still
black and gold like the rest of us.
Yeah, I mean, Lord willing, I'm still here next year. I'll eat my words happily. But
Well,
we'll
it's
have you
just-
back on.
Yeah.
The Steelers, they've got problems on the offensive side of the ball. Their offensive line was a shambles, to say the very least. They had no running
We can
game.
see.
Now the wide receiving core is adequate,
under.
and if they've got a decent quarterback, they could be
Under one.
be there. But the Steelers have big problems.
I think they're at the point they got to pick whether they want to be mediocre and just kind of make the playoffs or just cut ties and rebuild.
And what kills
They're
me
going
is
to
that we're-
choose mediocre.
that's
during the season.
that's been their philosophy
Yes,
for the
they
last 30,
practice
40
it.
years.
But what
Yes.
kills me is that we're talking about a team that was 12-4 last year, as if they were a team that was 4-12.
Well, the problem is the numbers don't lie. The wins we got that we normally lose, which is a good thing, and it showed some character, but that can't carry us for the next year. That's the problem.
I do believe that they'll figure it out. But that's the
Hey,
last
they've
thing I
been
got
good
to
at
say.
it for all these years. We're going to have to end this show. Thanks to newcomer Steve. Thanks to Chip. Thanks to Nick. Thanks to Connor. Thanks to Anthony. Please stay Joey strong.